Scarecrows don't say boo. In fact, they don't say anything at all. Yet, as Luke Burbank tells us, their presence is a scare tactic all the same.
It's a warm autumn day here in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. And Halloween is in the air. Welcome to the 37th annual Peddler's Village Scarecrow Festival, where you can take in the view or take part in a years-old tradition.
My mother and father started this.
Donna Jamison's family started the festival back in the 1970s.
It's a great thing to come out on a beautiful fall day and do something with your family, and then you can take it home and display it.
And that's exactly what Mike and Mary Petersen of Philadelphia have been doing for more than 20 years, sometimes with mixed results.
It takes my next-door neighbor a couple days to get used to it. He used to work late at night. He pulled in the one time and he thought somebody was sitting on my front porch, and here it was the scarecrow.
Oh, whoops! There goes some of me again.
And what could be more nostalgic than scarecrows? Remember The Wizard of Oz?
My, it's good to be free.
It's always been one of my favorite movies, along with my daughter. So, I don't know, just scarecrows they're a good thing.
A good thing that actually goes back to the very beginnings of farming. Not long after people learned how to grow crops, they started losing them to birds. They've tried catching the winged menace or even using kids to scare them away. But mainly, they've put up these lone figures standing guard, which is what most of us think of when we hear the word scarecrow. But these days, traditional scarecrows, like this guy, they're just for decoration. Modern farmers scare away birds using a little more bang.
We use bird cannons, reflective tape, we use distress calls. We want the birds to eat the neighbor's cherries, not ours.
Kyle Matheson owns Stamilt Farms in Wenatchee, Washington. He's one of the largest cherry producers in the country.
These are all bird damage. And you can see the birds taking a couple bites out of it. And it's just a constant, battle.
Step up, step up.
It's a battle he wages with some unexpected weapons, like this falcon.
We came in and there was a group of finches in here.
Who you may or may not know is the natural predator of the finches and robins that are looking to feast on Matheson's cherries.
And he caught it in the air and took it down.
But it turns out sometimes even the falcons have a hard time saying no. And he is eating a cherry now, which is to some degree defeating the purpose, right?
Yeah, well, I don't know why he's doing that.
Birds devour at least $30 million in cherries every year, and that's just in Washington state alone, which helps explain why farmers will try anything to save their crops. And we mean anything. Like these weird, floppy, inflatable figures, the kind you might see at a used car lot.
We do move Mr. Pino around to different spots in the vineyard, and that also helps the birds not become used to the damn things.
Ted Marks owns Atwater Vineyards in the Finger Lakes region of New York. He got the idea for Mr. Pino, and yes, that's his name, from researchers at Cornell University. And he says of all the things he's tried to scare off birds, Mr. Pino works the best.
It's number one, there's no question about it, because it's ever changing. It just keeps the birds away.
For farmers, their very way of life depends on defeating these winged thieves. But what about the birds? They got to eat too, right? Do you ever feel a little bad for the birds?
I haven't felt that bad for them. I always feel they get their share, Even with all these things, they still eat quite a few cherries. It'd be nice if they'd go eat the worms or some insects, but I think they like the cherries.
And really, who can blame them?
Now a page from our Sunday Morning Almanac, May 26, 1897, a day to chill the blood. For that was the day the Irish author Bram Stoker published his horror novel, Dracula. Loosely based on the sinister Transylvanian folk legend figure, Vlad the Impaler, Dracula told the story of a human vampire who thrives for centuries by feasting on human blood. Stoker never enjoyed much commercial success from his book.
I am Dracula.
But in 1931, Dracula made it big as a motion picture, with the Hungarian actor Bela Lugosi in the title role.
Listen to them. Children of the night. What music they make.
With his cloak, mesmerizing stare, and of course, that accent,
I didn't know, but that you might be hungry.
Dracula's exploits became the stuff of movie legend.
Aren't you drinking? I never drink. Why?
Shocking in its time, the movie made Dracula a fixture of popular culture, inspiring literally dozens of movie and TV vampire dramas over the years. Like the legendary figure on which he's based, Count Dracula and his vampire ilk seem destined to endure,
They call me the Count because I love counting things.
pleasing young and old alike.
Autumn,
Okay, folks, 2 pies are down.
season of the pumpkin.
Joe has just devoured exactly 5 pounds of pumpkin pie.
Honored in a variety of ways at fall festivals celebrating the bountiful harvest. But just how bountiful do you want to get? Extreme gardeners are showing up with giant, mutant, 3/4-ton monsters.
They're going to be the size of condos one of these days.
1,106 pounds for Jeff Blaze from Coventry, Rhode Island.
You're growing a freak. This is a freak of nature.
You can almost see them grow. 35 pounds a day during the height of the season.
Are you ready? All right, boys.
These days, it can take a village to pick a pumpkin, or lots of friends with heavy equipment. These are members of the Southern New England Giant Pumpkin Growers Association,
It's just a spot from sitting there on the ground. You're fine, Mike.
for whom fall is the time for picking and prize winning. One reason for the explosive growth in size is biogenetic engineering. In this case, the grower seems to have crossed a pumpkin with a Buick.
This is a male flower right here that's just growing.
Ron Wallace of Greene, Rhode Island, is president of the group.
And what you do is you kind of tap it like that, and the pollen will gently fall on the female. Pumpkin sex.
They're crossbred to the point that many of them don't really look like pumpkins anymore, but rather more like sickly colored, deflated basketballs.
It's not a beauty contest, it's for weight. We like our pumpkins mean and rugged and nasty looking.
Here in Pumpkin Land, growers speak their own numerically based language.
It's just numbers, 1502, 1068, 1420, and then the grower's names stop flying around. It's definitely a different lingo. That is one of them right there. It's a shiny, plump seed.
This is the most sought-after seed in the world, the Wallace 1068. This means it came from a 1,068-pound pumpkin grown by Ron Wallace. Kept under lock and key, it's priceless. Using a 1068, Ron set a new world record and broke the 1,500-pound barrier.
My hobby is just growing these and relaxing.
His father, Dick, is a champion grower, too.
I saw tears once on Ronnie, and I had him at the same time, and that's when he broke the world record last year. Other than the birth of my 2 sons, that was the happiest day of my life.
Have you ever worn it on any social occasion?
I haven't won on any dates lately, but...
Ron was named Grower of the Year by the Giant Pumpkin Commonwealth, that organization's highest honor. That is like the green jacket at the Masters.
This is the equivalent to the green jacket.
Well, tell me about the plot. What all do you have to use? Dirt is real important, I know.
So we use a lot of fish, kelp, humic acid.
At times, it seems you really need PhDs in chemistry and botany to grow competition pumpkins.
The humates help open up the soil for microbial activity, and that's...
Although it's not all pure science.
I mean, they're going to play better.
You got a radio over here. You play the radio for your pumpkins?
Radio gets played constantly, yeah.
The pumpkins seem to like sports radio.
I think that they really need Al Harris and Charles Woodson to stay healthy because
They really are junior Einsteins when it comes to growing pumpkins.
Susan Warren wrote a book on giant pumpkins.
It really boils down to just hanging in there and getting up with the sun every morning, getting dirty, doing the hard work.
If you enjoy gardening and you want a thrill, this is the thing you want to be.
Joe Jutras, a fellow club member, is rumored to have a huge pumpkin. So this is the one I've heard all the buzz about in town.
That's true, that's it, that's the baby.
And the Jutras thump test told him this just might be a winner.
I'll tell you, it's a beautiful pumpkin. If this pumpkin can go heavy, there aren't going to be many people that can catch me, I don't think.
He'd soon find out at the Topsfield, Massachusetts Fair.
It's the big day.
Billed as the oldest agricultural fair in the country. Joe and Ron, friends and rivals, arrive with their pumpkins in a stealth truck with no back windows. These are celebrity pumpkins.
Look at how big that is.
Longtime pumpkin fans can't believe their eyes,
How could something get so big, right?
seeming shocked, stunned as they behold Joe's giant pumpkin.
And what do we got?
The weigh-off begins before a capacity crowd.
750 pounds. 1,045 pounds. And we're just getting bigger by the moment, folks. 1,259.
Tension mounts. Excitement builds.
Boy, has he got a nice-looking pumpkin, folks.
You get like goosebumps when you think about what could happen.
Stay up, stay up, stay up.
Can Ron retain his title?
1,470 pounds.
Ron moves to the top of the leaderboard.
Are we ready, everybody?
But then, Bill Radonis from New Hampshire brings forth a humongous specimen grown from a Wallace 1450 seed, which Dick had given him.
1,560.
And he sets a new world record.
Oh, Nelly, is this one big pumpkin?
But it's not over yet.
Everybody's here to see this history being made, if it happens. Unthinkable in the giant pumpkin world.
Joe's pumpkin is approaching the scales.
Here it is, 4,689 pounds!
Joe and the giant pumpkin, raising hopes that we may see a 1-ton pumpkin in our lifetimes. Imagine.
Halloween's a-comin', and rather than promote the usual boo movie, I recommend a film nerd documentary that will turn everyone, even you, into a film nerd too.
He has broken the covenant of filmmaker and audience, and the audience cannot wait to see more.
It's called 7852. First for the number of camera setups, then for the total number of cuts in the most influential horror scene ever. The murder of Janet Leigh's Marion Crane in Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. Deodorant sales must have gone way up in 1960 because people were scared to take showers. In the documentary, film nerd director Alexander O. Philippe lays out the sociological and cultural context for Psycho. And it's good to be reminded by some very hip commentators shot in gorgeous black and white that Hitchcock wanted something rough and mean after colorful big-budget thrillers like North by Northwest.
He was a respected director, and she was a bona fide movie star.
Lee's daughter, Jamie Lee Curtis, is on board. So is the relatively unknown Playboy model Marley Renfro, who doubled for Lee during the 7 days it took to create the scene.
Was interviewed by Janet Leigh, and I had to strip down for her too. Well, just in my underpants, but anyway, my body was very similar to hers, so I got hired.
Imagine how stunned audiences were. It was unheard of to kill your biggest star a third of the way in. Or to have Hitchcock pass the movie's point of view to Anthony Perkins' Norman Bates, making us complicit with him, and on some level realize that we're creepy voyeurs too. It's in the second half of the documentary, when Philippe goes shot by shot, that 7852 really comes to life. Our commentators discuss the morally cleansing showerhead, meant to wash away Marion's sin, but instead washing away all evidence of her murder. The so-called negative space from which the murderer emerges.
What is going to fill that empty space?
The Hershey's syrup for blood.
But they had to dribble it around me and on me.
The choice of a cassava melon to simulate flesh being stabbed. And that most devastating shot of all, swirling around her eye as her life swirls down the drain. 7852 will open your eyes, not like Marion's, I hope, in a more alive way. Watch it.
Would I want my own kids, if I had them, playing with a Ouija board? Probably not.
Psychic and medium Chip Coffey knows a little something about communicating with the other side and using a Ouija board.
If anything started to get wonky or nasty, we'd end the session completely, say a closing prayer, and put the board up for a while.
The Ouija board is that seemingly innocuous collection of letters, numbers, and words printed on a plank. The idea is that you ask it a question, and then the pointer, called a planchette, spells out the answer.
We as a culture love to have the crap scared out of us. Can I say that? We love to be scared. That's my definition of the paranormal. You can't understand it, can't explain it, but can't deny that something's going on.
Chip Coffey should know. He talks to the dead for, well, a living. $159 will get you super VIP access to his seance, like this one in Chicago, and yes, a signed copy of his book. He calls the Ouija board a gateway drug to the paranormal because it can get you hooked.
There are very good influences that are out there. You know, benevolent, benign spirits, mom and pop garden variety spirits and ghosts. And then on rare occasion, you'll get the bad guys. Rare as that may be, it's totally possible that they could come through a Ouija board.
Now just imagine asking the Ouija, is it safe to live surrounded by hundreds of these boards?
What makes someone become a Ouija board collector?
Something has to be seriously wrong with them to do that.
Bob Murch has 500 talking boards in his Dorchester, Massachusetts home. Ouija, he points out, is a brand trademark.
People who believe in spirits believe what's happening when you put your hands on this is that the spirit is coming through you using your hands to push the planchette.
So the spirit is not coming through us right now.
No,
it's not moving.
It might be a little shy. The scientific community believes that it's something called ideomotor response. Your hands are always slightly moving. They never stay perfectly still. So this allows your subconscious to take those movements and make them fluid.
Of course, it's far more dramatic in the Hollywood version.
Are there any ghosts in this house?
By the 50s, it was a horror film staple.
Do you Ouija? Do you Ouija?
On I Love Lucy, the planchette pointed to laughs.
Have you had any success with the Ouija board? Oh, Ouija board.
How has this endured as long as it has?
Wanting to believe that there is something on the other side or that we can make contact is something that hasn't changed since 1890.
1890 was when the Ouija was first manufactured and marketed in Baltimore. Today, the city's Museum of Industry has an exhibit dedicated to Ouija history.
This is a collection of Ouija paraphernalia.
Catherine Dunkus is the collection's manager.
No one knows that the Ouija is from Baltimore.
So this is a bit of hometown pride?
Yes, we're a weird town.
Pictures reveal its place in pop culture.
It was considered a parlor game, a party game.
Norman Rockwell's cover of the Saturday Evening Post from May 1920 depicted the Ouija as a gateway to more than just another world.
They're on a date, more than likely, and looks like he's trying to take advantage of her more than he should be.
Legend has it the board picked its own name, spelling out O-U-I-J-A. And now a bit of living history. Stuart Fold and Kathy Fold are descendants of William Fold, who owned and ran the company that popularized the Ouija.
I've always said to people, it's just a game, and that's how my father felt about it.
If these things were truly the doorway to the devil, they wouldn't be sold in Toys R Us.
The game, Murch explains, was sold to Parker Brothers in 1966 and is owned by Hasbro today.
This was just marketing. This was a toy. This was entertainment. So the people who made this did not believe in the sense that this was contacting spirits. They just knew people loved to play.
They knew they could sell something.
And sell they have. Tens of millions of them.
A lot of adolescents and kids love the whole idea of playing with a Ouija board. I mean, they made a pink Ouija board for girls.
The Ouija board box, says Chip Coffey, might pose the biggest question.
I know that there are those people out there that are going, no, 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 we don't want to use the Ouija board. No, we will not have one in our home, blah, blah, blah. I'm not afraid of it. I just know that you got to use it responsibly.
Grimacing, gaping, grinning. Mischievous creatures perched close to heaven, inviting us, daring us to raise our gaze.
This architecture is made to draw your eyes up, this Gothic architecture. And then as your eyes are being drawn up, you're seeing gargoyles and grotesques and, wow, look at that, look at that. Hey, is that Darth Vader up there?
It is Darth Vader up there. Crane your neck at the National Cathedral in Washington, D.C., or even take one of their gargoyle tours, and you might also see a wild boar, a turtle, a dragon, or one of the roughly 1,200 other roof dwellers.
I installed that horse.
Joe Alonzo is head stonemason at the cathedral.
Of course, my girl Medusa.
But many of Medusa's neighbors, like Darth Vader, aren't really gargoyles.
A gargoyle officially must spew water or be able to do so. I describe them as glorified gutters. If you look like a gargoyle in some sort of a monstrous or fantastic way, but you cannot spew water, you are officially a grotesque.
Janetta Rebold Benton is a professor of art history at Pace University in New York and has written about these hair-raising hobgoblins.
They're fascinating, and I think it goes along with the whole appeal of things that are just a little awful, a little bit frightening, a little bit creepy, the extreme edge of what we accept. It is part of human nature, curiously.
Where does the word gargoyle come from?
It's the French word for to gargle, and it has
gargoyle.
Yes,
something like that.
Yes. And it has to do with the word for throat, and that is, of course, what a gargoyle does. It spits water from its throat.
Ancient civilizations like the Greeks were carving water spitters more than 2,000 years ago. But Benton says gargoyles really came alive in the Middle Ages. Besides water control, they've been said to ward off evil and to frighten passers-by into piety. Monstrous angels created to delight God. Carver Walter S. Arnold says gargoyles have always, well, stuck their necks out.
I think the bishops knew that if you didn't give us the outlet on the outside of the cathedral,
we'd be sticking a caricature of the bishop behind the altar. So they defined that you have to behave here, and you can talk about life and culture and society out there.
Arnold has carved dozens of gargoyles and grotesques for the National Cathedral.
Most of what carvers do is much more formal, whereas gargoyles for me are more like jazz. There's a concept, and you can improvise and just kind of discover what's in the stone as I go along.
This was the side that would be seen.
He often collaborated with sculptor J. Hall Carpenter, who's designed more than 100 of these creatures.
One that Walter and I worked on together is the Crooked Politician. That's a gargoyle, and he's tampering with the scales of justice.
Pretty apt for a gargoyle that looks over Washington, D.C.
Absolutely. He'll have more spines, I'm sure, and he'll have some sort of toe.
Oh, he's so sad.
Yes, he is sad. But I'm most interested in the face here and what the details there will be and where his gaze will be.
Of course, our gaze will be skyward,
There are just creatures everywhere.
looking up with wonder.
Look up, consider the fantastic, consider the appeal of things that you cannot fully understand today, things that perhaps will ultimately have an explanation, and even if they don't, enjoy them just for the pleasure they convey.
Remember the 1973 horror movie, The Exorcist? Remember this ominous scene?
Who can turn the world on with her smile?
Of course you don't remember it, because we've replaced the music with the theme from the Mary Tyler Moore Show. The original was a little creepier. I mean, would Psycho be the same without the music? It's no surprise that a good scare and a good score go hand in hand.
In Psycho, it's the high that scares us.
Michelle DiBucci teaches music theory at the Juilliard School, and she has composed music for horror movies.
And it's in the stratosphere register of the violin.
She agreed to reveal some of the tools composers use to frighten us. Like
dissonance.
Notes that clash.
Right?
Or low droning notes.
Where's that note going? What's it gonna do?
It's literally suspense.
So sometimes very little does a lot.
We don't like when frequencies clash. Say, for example, a scream.
It almost sounds like you're talking about the Psycho shower sheet.
Pretty scary, right? Yeah.
Anthony Lacanina is a neuroscientist at the Friedman Brain Institute at Mount Sinai Hospital in New York. He says that sometimes spooky music works by imitating sounds that trigger our fight or flight response.
We know that the brain is responding to that by activating those brain regions that are going to be involved in protecting you.
So something that's high and dissonant and screeching might suggest to something unconscious that it's screaming, and that, of course, makes us panicky.
We want to attend to things like, for example, hearing a baby crying, a sound rustling behind you. That would be a very important thing to attend to if it was a predator.
I mean, that's scary. Even the instruments they use, or misuse,
Oh my gosh! Eric!
affect the creepiness quotient. Why is that upsetting me? Sounds like this is something that's going to hurt you.
Oh, but no, it's fabulous. Come on.
Anything that's abrupt is going to certainly cause a emotional response in some way.
Like a big chord.
Exactly. Oh, you just spooked me out there, but yes, exactly.
It's easy to understand why a loud crashing noise can startle you in a movie.
Mr. Hammond, I think we're back in business.
But quiet can also be scary, even when it's a lullaby. That's Rosemary's Baby.
Creepy lullaby. I mean, no one's gonna be singing that to their baby.
But maybe the most surprising thing I learned from DiBucci is that over 100 movies all use the exact same tune.
The
one that's almost 1,000 years old.
The Mass for the Dead, or the funeral Mass, would have a section called Dies Irae, Dies Illa, Day of Wrath, Day of Impending Doom. And this was the Judgment Day. That was just a scary concept back in the Middle Ages. It's a cascading musical idea. It falls down. And because it's associated with death, it started to be used by composers outside of its reference to the Mass.
And guess what? You hear that Dies Irae melody at the beginning of The Shining. And in Friday the 13th. And Sweeney Todd. And dozens of other movies.
Over a lifetime of movie watching, the brain is going to know when those collections of notes come in, it does not mean something happy is about to happen.
At Carnegie Hall, we caught up with a current maestro of horror, composer Michael Abels, rehearsing a piece he wrote.
Very nice. When the phrase connects, think of it as like you're on the same team.
Abels composed two of the scariest scores of recent years, Get Out from 2017 and Us from earlier this year. Both were written and directed by Jordan Peele. I still remember sitting in the theater and the camera is showing sunlit woods passing by. That's not scary. You put happy music to that. It's a TV commercial.
Exactly.
But you come in with this Swahili chanting and it is a freak out. I noticed that in a lot of horror movies, there is choral singing in another language.
It's all about the unknown. Then when you can't understand what it's saying, then that pulls into your own fears of making things even worse than they might really be, right? And so Jordan really loves having voices in the scores, and there are even more voices in Us.
Yeah, but in Us, it's like children.
Yes, there's Jordan Peele wanting to ruin things for you. He said, let's get children's voices. That'll be really scary.
Of all the notes in the world that just sound wrong together, the tritone may be the most famous. It's two notes, 6 piano keys apart.
It came to in the Middle Ages to be called Diabolus in Musica, the devil in music.
You'll hear the tritone in classical music and the opening notes of Get Out. It's like, here's a tritone. What are you doing?
I guess I'm being really obvious when you set it up like that. Thanks a lot. These are all the colors of darkness and fear and anger and terror, and these colors can be mixed with the colors of joy and contentment and sincerity, and by mixing them you can create the exact balance of these two things. And so the tritone's an important interval, not just in horror, but in music that's even just a little bit tense.
And it's those unsettling sounds that scientists like Anthony Lacanina are still trying to understand. Is there any aspect of music's effect on us that science hasn't been able to nail down?
We can understand music in terms of how it's processed in the brain, but creating music, we do not understand that very well.
And that, for composer Michael Abels, is what makes horror music so brilliantly thrilling.
It's this really magic power. I kind of love that we don't know. The magic part of it just lights me up.
The sea has long inspired great poets and artists. So why not a San Jose software salesman? James Wynn had a vision of replacing Hitchcock's seagulls and crows in The Birds with modern-day toxic, flammable, exploding eagles and vultures in what is being praised as the best-worst movie of all time.
I definitely liked it more than Avatar.
I just heard that it was the worst movie ever made.
Birdemic Shock and Terror was supposed to terrify audiences, but instead has them howling with laughter, coast to coast at midnight screenings.
And I was surprised that they were laughing with the movie from the beginning to the end, from scene to scene. I say, well, is that supposed to be funny? I didn't mean it to be funny.
Can I have your autograph, please?
Sure, sure.
James often attends these screenings himself, signing autographs and taking questions.
The reason they explode is because global warming has made them mutant. And they have made them toxic and flammable.
An audience favorite is the scene where lead characters Rod and Natalie go to a pumpkin festival and wind up fighting their way out of a Motel 6 armed with coat hangers.
Seriously, when you're literally attacked by eagles and vulture in a hotel room, what can you use to protect yourself? You know.
Well, when you look at it that way,
yeah.
It almost makes sense.
Makes sense, yeah.
And if the hangers don't work, luckily somebody brought an M16 to the pumpkin festival. Some film buffs are already calling Birdemic a cult classic.
So why did you decide to go into sales?
I like sales. It fits my personality.
Featuring wooden acting and some dreadful dialogue, when you can hear it.
Why don't you look at you know?
Bad special effects, like the clip art birds.
Who's there?
Clunky lectures on global warming.
Damn global warming. It's the cause of dry climate and bark beetles and death of the trees and forest.
And finally, the secret ingredient, James Wynn's sincerity. He isn't kidding.
I'm hungry. I've been under the car for a long time.
James actually entered Birdemic in the Sundance Film Festival. He was rejected, but went anyway.
We saw this rundown Nissan Quest just crawling down Main Street, plastered with posters and fake blood, and blaring
blasting this indescribable avian-like screeching.
Like
you know,
eagle attacks.
Eagle, like...
It was James promoting Birdemic, although he misspelled it on the van. Filmmakers Bobby Hacker and Evan Husney put James in touch with a film company which, for some reason, bought it.
But conventionally speaking, I think people would say Birdemic is a bad film. But really, I mean, it has its own style, it has its own voice. And it's completely entertaining from the beginning to the end.
And guess what? It's not easy making a film on a $10,000 budget.
I had this actress that I thought she's perfect for it. Everything was signed, the contract, everything's rolled. The whole thing blew up because she wouldn't stay in Motel 6.
So, do you have like a backup plan, you know, if your modeling career doesn't work out?
Not really.
He found two first-time actors to play the leads, Whitney Moore, who is beautiful and volunteered to do the gory makeup, and Alan Bach.
Do you mind if I ask you what you got paid for the movie?
Yeah, I didn't really get paid anything, to tell you the truth.
You're gonna sell me some gas now.
Oh, take it easy, take it easy.
Are you glad you did it?
Yeah, I'm really glad, especially with all the attention it's getting.
I went to the film school of Hitchcock Cinema. I never went to film school at all. Everything was self-taught.
James edited the film himself in a spare bedroom.
You drag and drop this, okay? Looks pretty realistic. The eagles eventually become mutant and very toxic and flesh, so when they do a bird drop, these are kind of like acid.
That's a lot of bird dropping.
His memorable tour bus scene and most of the film was shot in the town of Half Moon Bay, California.
In the movie, it's supposed to be acidic. It's bird fluid, acidic, that burns, toxic, that when you get it, you die. Just like,
what did you actually use?
We actually use orange juice. There's only three gallons, so we only got one take. It was one take, and that's it, because I ran out of money that day.
But now, somehow, this Vietnamese immigrant is living the American dream.
You know, I still pinch myself every day, you know, like wake up in the morning, pinch myself like that, and say, is this real?
Still a little perplexed as to why.
I think that it's called one gigantic happy accident. And maybe I'll get lucky again on the sequel called Birdemic, The Resurrection.
Evening in Austin, Texas, where nightlife is about wildlife. At times, 1.5 million bats emerge from under the Congress Avenue Bridge. Bats that many of us fear.
Because when I was little, I was told they go in your hair.
But in truth, bats are sadly misunderstood. Bat Fact 1, forget the attack myth, says Austin's own Batman, Merlin Tuttle, who founded Bat Conservation International.
I have spent hundreds of hours in caves surrounded by literally millions of bats at a time. In my whole life, I've never been attacked by a bat, and I've never been harmed by a bat.
Not once.
Not once.
This is a bat named Abel.
Bat Fact 2, they are not dirty.
They're extremely clean.
Diane Odegaard rehabs wounded bats in her home.
They groom themselves like cats do, and they have these little hairs on their feet that they actually use kind of as like a brush or a comb.
From ancient storytellers to Hollywood mythmakers, bats get a bad rap.
Lived on human blood, took the form of a vampire bat.
But bats went from creepy to camp in the 60s with Batman, the TV show, and then the movie.
Watch out, Batman. This could be tricky.
And Caped Crusader Adam West and his Batmobile are still stars at the Austin Bat Festival. You just knew they would have a Bat Festival.
It's something that you don't really experience anywhere else. It's something that's just extremely unique to Austin, and it's just cool.
These little bats are big business here, generating an estimated 10 to 12 million tourist dollars a year. A lot of that for souvenirs, which is why in this town people have sweet dreams when they sleep in a pillow that says Batty about Austin. Which brings us to Austin's Mayor Lee Leffingwell. So I pick up this pillow and it says Batty about Austin. What's that about?
The bat is our official animal.
The bat?
Yes, the bat.
But Bat Fact 3 is no joke. Bats save American consumers billions of dollars a year.
They're a natural, beneficial organism that is protecting our crops.
The USDA's John Westbrook studies bats that eat moths. During her lifetime, a female moth can lay eggs on 1,000 ears of corn. Eggs that turn into corn-destroying larvae. But when bats eat insects, it cuts farmers' pesticide cost by $23 billion nationwide, and that means food costs less. So bats actually help keep our grocery costs down?
Yes, they do.
Which is why experts are alarmed, because bats are dying all across the nation, especially in the Northeast, where many have a disease called white nose syndrome. And finally, Bat Fact 4, they make lousy pets. I think the catch is they're not like animals that are holdable. We can't pet them, we can't play with them like you can a dog or a cat or that kind of thing.
Oh, there are people who do, but I wouldn't recommend it. The only bat you're likely to get your hands on is a sick one, and that's exactly the one you should never handle.
When you add it up, saving us billions of dollars, not dangerous, and definitely not dirty, maybe it's our tiny friends of the night that deserve that coveted title, man's best friend.
When you watch the Villafane family of Michigan dig into their Halloween pumpkins,
Go, start carving.
the first question that comes to mind is,
There he goes, there he goes.
what a pumpkin ever do to them? Norman Bates carved more kindly. And yet, this is how Ray Villafane teaches his kids how to start on a pumpkin.
Go.
And not just his kids.
Take this tool.
He goes around to schools and tries to get other kids to adopt the same skin 'em alive approach.
If you want to make a good pumpkin, you have to push the limits.
There's clearly a madness to his method, but Ray's not completely out of his gourd. In fact, he may be a genius.
It's a different way of thinking.
For the past 15 years, Ray has spent every October in his basement studio, reinventing the art of pumpkin carving. Using sculpting tools instead of knives, Ray can now take a pumpkin and over the course of about 8 hours, turn it into a truly museum-quality fruit.
To me, you carve a pumpkin to transform it into something that's alive.
Believe it or not, all these started out as single pumpkins, each carving more improbable than the next, each creation challenging the limits of what is pumpkinly possible.
I'm so obsessive. When I get into something, I don't go to sleep. I stay up all night. I keep doing it.
Has he been like this since you met him?
Pretty much. There's an apple, honey.
Ray's wife, Tammy, says pumpkins were just the beginning.
I need a knife.
They merely opened his eyes to an infinitely carvable world. Today, the former grade school teacher sculpts full-time. He makes models like this for toy companies, and he's starting to get into sand sculpting, too. This is what he made the first time he ever tried. Ray clearly has a gift. Such a gift, it's almost a curse.
I see the eyes are too big.
Like so many people who are the best at what they do,
Structure of the face is not right.
Ray is rarely satisfied with anything he does.
Would you throw it away?
I've thrown away better ones than this, yeah.
And although it drives his wife nuts, Ray says it's a healthy neurosis. In fact, that's the message he likes to leave with kids. That no matter what you do, to be great, you can't ever think you are. And of course,
Done.
Done? 15 years of practice.
Very nice job.
Doesn't hurt either.